I'm excited that it's finally done.
Michael Jacobs says for the first time since 2020, he feels a little justice.
I'm a little numb. It took 3 years.
3 years. Since this night in July of 2020, he was out to protest the removal of a homeless encampment when police say he jostled a fence. So they took him down.
They beat the living heck out of me.
His attorney says one officer punched him in the head several times, while another thrust a baton at his rear end.
Besides for just being battered and bruised and cut up, my rotator cuff was torn.
Since that day, he's had surgery on his shoulder, continues to have panic attacks. And for that, Denver City Council approved a settlement last night for $350,000.
It's not just a win for me, but it's a win for all of the people out here.
The city attorney's office told us today since 2020, Denver dished out more than $3.8 million in settlements to people specifically protesting the death of George Floyd. Jacobs' case isn't included in that since this protest was over a different topic. And the city's currently appealing a ruling from last year when a federal jury awarded protesters $14 million for injuries sustained during the protests.
I think it shows that they have real issues with the use of force, particularly as it relates to protesters.
Jacobs' attorney says these massive awards show the city's response to protests back then was a problem. And it's too soon to tell if police learned a lesson.
There haven't been any significant protests lately, so I think that will be the test if they take a different approach next time.
It shows that we can hold these people accountable.
So after the 2020 protests, the city's independent monitor was critical of how the police department responded to those protests. The independent monitor suggested several changes, including banning the use of rubber ball grenades for crowd control. The police department agreed to all of those suggestions. The city attorney's office said they had no comment about Jacobs' settlement when I asked them for it today, guys.
Well, there's a lot to discuss here, but just strictly in a financial sense, the city has trouble coming up with money for many projects. But they've been paying a lot of money for these types of cases.
Yeah, just approved $1.6 million in settlements last month to protesters who were specifically protesting for George Floyd. $3.8 million for all of those protests just in those few weeks of George Floyd protests. And then you add these on top of that. It adds up, and the city of Denver pays it all. City Council has to actually approve these settlements, which is why we're learning about this $350,000 settlement.
Yeah, you wonder if they even budget for it. Like this year is going to be a $15 million settlement year.
It's a lot of money. And you hear these attorneys who represent folks who say, this is really a message to the city. Training is needed. The hope is the next time that we see a mass protest like that you'll see some of that training potentially kick in.
It's nearly 3 years later. Yeah. So, and they're still paying money out.
Quite a long time. Yeah, and then they still have that outstanding case where a federal jury awarded a group of protesters $14 million. The city thought that was a lot.
Right.
So they're going back and trying to appeal that.
With Dominion today as well, though, you wonder how much justice comes from cash, and does it affect change? And only time tells.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see. Again, we haven't seen anything to the scale that we saw in 2020 as far as protests.
All right. Thank you, Steve.